My brother-in-law yelled, "Pay the rent or get out of my house." I left silently, hiding the smile. He had no idea that this house was mine and that I had secretly sold it for $900,000. When it was time to move out, he panicked and called my number. My answer shattered his world. Just revenge for the betrayal of loved ones. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. I pushed through the front door with my shoulder, grocery bags cutting into my palms. The weight felt good, substantial. I'd bought the expensive salmon, the French Chardonnay Alma mentioned last month, fresh asparagus still dewy from the market. Small things, offerings. The living room stopped me cold. My leather armchair, the one I'd read in for 30 years, sat crammed against the far wall, facing nothing. The mantel where Sarah's photo used to smile down stood bare except for Stuart's motivational poster. Success is a choice. My reading lamp lay unplugged on the floor. Stuart's massive desk commanded the center of the room now, his ergonomic chair, his filing cabinets, his territory markers scattered across what used to be my space. I shifted the bags and moved toward the kitchen. Alma glanced up from her laptop, her eyes sliding past me like I was furniture. Not even a hello. Just that brief, dismissive flick of attention before returning to her screen. "I picked up everything for tonight," I said, setting the bags on the counter. "That organic salmon you love, the French Chardonnay. You got the wrong butter again." She didn't look up. I pulled out the butter, examined the label. "I thought this was the one you asked for." "It's fine. Whatever." Her fingers kept typing. I began unpacking slowly, organizing items on the counter. The asparagus, the salmon wrapped in butcher paper, a lemon for the fish. My hands trembled slightly, not from weakness, just the lingering tension from this afternoon's appointment. "Dr. Morrison's words still echoed. "Arrhythmia. We'll need to monitor this." But I'd pushed that aside. Tonight was about family, about creating something warm. Stuart emerged from his office, saw me, released a heavy sigh. "We need to talk." "Of course." I folded the empty bag. "Let me just finish putting these away. Now, Ray, this is important." I turned to face him, reading his expression. Rehearsed. Whatever this was, he'd practiced it. "All right. Should I make coffee?" "Don't bother." I left the groceries half unpacked and followed him to the dining room. Alma closed her laptop and joined us, her face carefully neutral. They'd coordinated this. The realization settled in my chest like a stone. "I'll start dinner in a bit," I said, trying to salvage normalcy. "Just need 20 minutes." "After," Stuart said, so I sat. Stuart remained standing, his posture straight, hands clasped behind his back like he was addressing a board meeting. "Ray, this situation isn't sustainable. You're living here rent-free, using utilities, taking up space. Starting next month, we need $1,500 monthly rent, or you need to find another place." The fork I'd been fidgeting with went still in my hand. I set it down carefully, the small clink against the plate too loud in the silence. "This is my house," I said quietly. "I designed it. I built it." "Actually, we all live here." Stuart's voice carried that patient tone people use when explaining obvious things to slow children. "And we all need to contribute." I turned to Alma. She was staring at her placemat, tracing the edge with one finger. "Alma, you agree with this?" Her eyes finally met mine, and what I saw there hurt more than Stuart's words. Distance. Resolve. "Dad, we have expenses too. It's only fair." "Fair?" The word tasted bitter. "I'm your father. And we're adults. This is just business." Business. My daughter, who I'd held through nightmares and walked down the aisle, was reducing me to a business arrangement. Stuart leaned forward, palms flat on the table. "So what's your answer?" The dining room pressed in around me, this room where we'd celebrated Sarah's last birthday, where Alma had told us she was engaged, where I'd sat alone after the funeral, picking at casseroles. Neighbors had brought my room, my table, my house. "I need to think about this," I managed. "You have until the end of the week." Stuart straightened, satisfied. 1,500 monthly or start apartment hunting." The chair scraped against the hardwood as I stood, my hands finding the table's edge and gripping hard enough that my knuckles went white. Both of them watched me, Stuart with that business-like patience, Alma still unable to hold my gaze for more than a second. I turned away from the table, my shoulders rigid, and walked toward the kitchen where the salmon still sat on the counter, waiting to be prepared for a family dinner that would never happen. I lay in the narrow bed, staring at ceiling cracks I'd memorized over sleepless months. This room, Alma's childhood bedroom once, with its window seat where she'd read fairy tales, was now my exile. The walls still held the faint outline where her bookshelf had been. Outside, an engine started. I rolled to the window and watched Stuart's Tesla glide down the driveway, red taillights disappearing into the pre-dawn darkness. 6:30. His gym routine, faithful as clockwork. He'd be gone 2 hours. I needed those 2 hours. I dressed in yesterday's clothes and moved through the quiet house. No coffee brewing yet, no lights, just the gray stillness before sunrise. When I reached the master bedroom, my bedroom, the one I'd shared with Sarah for 28 years, I stopped. My hand hovered near the door. I knocked softly. "Dad?" Alma's voice came muffled and sleepy. "What time is it?" "We need to talk, before Stuart gets back." A long pause. Then, "Give me a minute." I waited in the hallway, noticing details I'd been too numb to register before. My medical degree no longer hung on the wall. My engineering certifications, gone. In their place, Alma and Stuart's wedding photos, their vacation shots from Maui, their life expanding into every space mine had occupied. The bedroom door opened. Alma stood there in pajamas, arms crossed, eyes puffy. "Kitchen," she said. She made coffee while I sat at the table. Her movements were automatic, mechanical. Scoop the grounds, pour the water, wait for the drip. Anything to avoid facing me. "Alma, about last night." "Dad, please, it's too early." "When then? When would be a good time to discuss my own house?" She turned, coffee pot forgotten. "That's not how Stuart meant it." "How did he mean it, then?" "Dad, you have to understand. We have expenses, too. This is just fair." I leaned back, studying her face. When had she learned to look at me this way, like I was a problem requiring a solution? "Fair? Charging rent to live in my house?" "You're living in our space. We're the ones maintaining it, paying utilities, putting money into improvements." "Improvements I never asked for." "That's not the point." She poured coffee with sharp, angry movements. "We're the ones living here, Dad. We're the ones who've made it a home again." "Again?" "It was always a home. My home. After Mom died, you were just existing here. We brought life back." The words landed like a slap. I absorbed them silently, watching steam rise from my cup. "This property has my name on the deed," I said carefully. "Legally, yes. But if you're not happy with the arrangement, you can always find your own place. A nice apartment somewhere. Something manageable." She sat across from me, cradling her mug. "This house is too big for one person anyway." The suggestion hung between us, naked and clear. They wanted me gone. I fell silent, memory pulling me backward. This same kitchen table, 3 years ago. Alma sitting where she sat now, but crying then, her face red and swollen. Stuart beside her, equally devastated. "Dad, we're being evicted. The landlord sold the building. We have nowhere to go." Her voice had been desperate, breaking. "Please, just temporarily. We'll help you through this." I'd still been raw from Sarah's funeral, moving through days like walking underwater. Everything hurt. Everything reminded me of loss. "Of course," I'd said. "Stay as long as you need." "Thank you. We'll make it up to you. We'll help with the house, with everything." Temporarily, that word echoed now, hollow and false. I looked at my daughter across the table. The same daughter, but different somehow. Harder. When had that happened? When had helping me become owning me? Something in my expression must have shifted because Alma leaned forward. "Dad, are you okay?" "I'm fine," I straightened, decision crystallizing. "You're right. We need to make this official." Relief flooded her face. "So you'll pay the rent?" "Yes. 1,500 monthly, starting immediately." "Good. I think this is better for everyone." I pulled out my wallet. I'd stopped at an ATM during my sleepless hours last night and counted out bills. 50s, 20s, 10s, fresh and crisp. I laid them on the counter between us, one at a time. 30 bills total. Alma reached for the money. I didn't move my hand away immediately. For a brief moment, we both touched it. "Receipt?" I said. Her brow furrowed. What? I'll need a receipt. For my records. Dad, we're family. Then this should be no problem. She stared at me, searching for something in my face. Whatever she found, it made her pull a notepad from the drawer. Her hand shook slightly as she wrote, $4,500. Rent, June. She dated it, signed it, pushed it across the table. I picked up the receipt, folded it carefully, and slipped it into my wallet behind my driver's license. Evidence, documentation. The first piece. Alma gathered the bills, no longer meeting my eyes. I should get ready. Stuart will be back soon. Of course, I stood, leaving my untouched coffee. Thank you for the receipt. She nodded, confused by my tone, too polite, too controlled, but accepting it. I walked back to my small room, closed the door, and pulled out the receipt again. Unfolded it, read her signature, read the date, read the words that transformed everything between us into transaction. Then I folded it again precisely and filed it away. The library's law section was quieter than I expected for a Tuesday afternoon. I'd been coming here every day since paying that first rent, filling my laptop with notes that no one at home suspected existed. That morning at breakfast, Stuart had barely glanced up from his phone when I mentioned leaving. Library, maybe a walk, I'd said, keeping my tone casual. Don't forget the house rules, he'd replied, scrolling through emails. Back by 7 if you want dinner. I'd nodded, swallowing the response that burned in my throat. Alma hadn't even looked up. Now I stood before towering shelves of Oregon legal codes, my late wife's reading glasses in my shirt pocket, and a fresh notepad in hand. Sarah had always said knowledge was architecture. You built understanding one careful layer at a time. I pulled volumes on property law, real estate transactions, tenant rights, spread them across a corner table, and began methodical documentation. This was familiar territory, the precision of research, the satisfaction of finding patterns in complexity. As an architect, I'd spent decades translating vision into blueprint. Now I'd translate injustice into action. 2 hours in, I discovered something called a rent-back agreement. Sellers could remain in their property for 30 to 60 days post-sale, while new owners waited to take possession. My pencil stopped mid-note. This was it, a legal way to sell the house while maintaining residence, giving me time to transition while protecting the transaction from interference. Looking for something specific? I glanced up. A woman stood nearby, silver hair in a neat bun, warm eyes behind delicate frames, a volunteer badge clipped to her cardigan. 60-something, elegant in that understated way that speaks of competence rather than effort. Oregon property law, I managed. Sales with delayed occupancy. Rent-back provisions. That's section 346.7, different area? She moved with practiced ease through the stacks, pulling exactly the volume I needed. Legal research is tricky if you don't know the indexing system. I appreciate it. Haven't been here in years. The library remembers everyone, even if they forget it. She set the book before me, and I noticed her hands. Steady, capable, unadorned, except for a simple watch. I'm Gloria. Volunteer here Tuesdays and Thursdays. Ray. She started to leave, then paused, studying my face with gentle concern. Forgive me for saying, but you seem troubled. Are you all right? The unexpected kindness cracked something in my carefully maintained control. Just working through some family complications. Those are often the most difficult. Family can love us and hurt us in the same breath. That's exactly right. Her expression held understanding without pity. Well, whatever you're facing, knowledge is a good first step. I'll leave you to it. I watched her walk away, then dove into the rent-back statutes. Oregon allowed 60 days maximum, required written agreement, legally binding. The seller maintained all ownership rights until closing. New owners couldn't take possession early without consent. My notes grew detailed. Find real estate attorney. Discreet listing. Buyers who accept rent-back terms. Document everything. The library's closing announcement startled me from concentration. I gathered materials. Checked out 2 books using my old library card, still valid after all these years. Gloria was at the checkout desk, stamping due dates. Found what you needed? I think I found a way forward. That's good. Sometimes we just need to know our options. I hesitated then. Thank you. Really. Something passed between us. Recognition, maybe. Two people carrying weight they hadn't chosen. The drive home felt different. Sunset painted the familiar streets in unfamiliar colors. My mind worked through logistics, timelines, contingencies, the architect in me sketching plans. I reached home at 6:45, 15 minutes before Stuart's arbitrary deadline. The living room furniture had been rearranged again. My armchair now faced the wall. Stuart emerged from the kitchen, arms crossed, blocking my path like a landlord addressing a problematic tenant. "We need to go over some new arrangements." My stomach tightened. "What kind of arrangements?" "House rules. Nothing unreasonable." He counted them off on his fingers like items on a corporate memo. "No use of living room after 8 p.m. We need quiet for work. 24-hour notice before having any guests. No cooking after 7. And keep your bedroom door closed. The house looks neater that way." Each rule was another small theft, another piece of my autonomy stripped away in my own home. Alma appeared behind him, silent reinforcement. "We're just trying to make this work for everyone," Stuart continued. "You understand, right?" I looked at him. This man who'd moved into my house 3 years ago with tears and promises of temporary help, who now stood in my living room, issuing edicts like some petty despot. "I understand perfectly." Something in my tone made Alma's eyes flick up sharply, but she said nothing. Stuart, satisfied with my apparent compliance, nodded and returned to his office. I walked to my small bedroom, closed the door as required, sat on the bed and spread my library books across the blanket like battle plans. My expression hardened with resolve. David Olson's office sat on the 14th floor of a downtown Portland building, all glass and steel. I'd spent 10 days researching attorneys who specialized in real estate transactions, looking for someone who'd understand discretion. Olson's reviews mentioned both competence and confidentiality. That's what I needed. The elevator climbed steadily, floor numbers illuminating in sequence. My reflection stared back from the polished doors, an older man in a pressed shirt, carrying a folder that held his future. This consultation would make everything real. No retreat after this. The past week and a half replayed in my mind. Stuart's satisfied smirk when I'd followed his new rules, Alma's indifference, the casual way they discussed my savings at breakfast like it was community property. Each memory crystallized my certainty. The doors opened. Reception area, professional photos on walls, diplomas in frames. Legitimate, serious. "Mr. Cook?" The receptionist smiled. "Mr. Olson is ready." I followed her down a quiet hallway, took a breath, and entered. Olson's office was organized chaos. Legal books lining one wall, a large desk with neat stacks of folders, client chairs positioned for conversation, not confrontation. The man himself stood to greet me, mid-50s, gray at the temples, assessing eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "Mr. Cook, please sit. Your call mentioned a property matter." I sat, placed my folder on his desk. Beginning was hardest. I need to sell my house, without my family knowing until it's done. His expression remained neutral. He'd heard unusual requests before. "Tell me the situation. I need full context to advise you properly." So I explained. My house, designed it myself 30 years ago. Daughter and son-in-law moved in 3 years ago, supposedly temporary. Now charging me rent in my own home, implementing rules, effectively squeezing me out. Olson listened, took notes, asked precise questions. "The property deed is solely in your name?" "Yes." "They have no legal lease agreement? Nothing formal? You're paying rent without a rental contract?" I pulled out the receipt Alma had written, laid it on his desk beside the deed, and my original architectural plans for the house. He reviewed each document carefully, his practiced eye catching details I'd worried over. "Mr. Cook, you have every legal right to sell. It's your property." He leaned back, steepling his fingers. "Occupants without lease or ownership are legally guests. They have no claim." Relief and fear mixed in my chest. "We'll need a discreet listing," he continued. "Buyers who accept a rent-back agreement. Oregon allows up to 60 days. You sell close escrow, but retain occupancy for 2 months. During that time, you find new housing and prepare to move. And they won't know until the new owners take legal possession. They'll receive an eviction notice 30 days before the mandatory move-out date." I absorbed this. "How long does the process take?" With proper buyers, 30 to 60 days for closing. I can connect you with a realtor who handles discreet sales. He consulted his computer. Portland market is strong. Your home in the Eastwood area, I'd estimate 880 to 920,000. After commissions and costs, you'd net approximately 850, enough to start over, buy a smaller place or rent comfortably, live on my own terms. Olson's gaze sharpened. I need to ask, are you certain? This will damage family relationships, possibly permanently. They've already damaged the relationship. I'm just protecting what's mine. He nodded slowly. Then let's proceed. I'll have my paralegal prepare initial paperwork. Walking to my car afterward, I felt weight lift and simultaneously pressed down heavier. Events were in motion now, irreversible. Instead of driving straight home, I stopped at Central Library. Not really planning to, just hoping. She was there. Third floor, not at the volunteer desk, but sitting at a table with her laptop and books. Gloria looked up, recognized me, smiled warmth I hadn't seen in my own house for years. Back for more property law? No, I found what I needed. Are you researching something? Retirement planning, actually. Figuring out how to make my pension stretch, we talked. Conversation flowed naturally this time, two people discovering unexpected compatibility. I mentioned my morning walks in Laurelhurst Park, how the movement helped me think clearly. I love that park, she said. The rhododendron garden is beautiful right now. Moment of possibility, leap of faith. Maybe, if you're there tomorrow morning around 9, near the pond. She paused, considering. Then, I could be. Small smile exchanged. Something beginning. I arrived home later than usual, just after 5. Entered quietly, heard voices from the kitchen. Stuart and Alma, not knowing I'd returned. The basement renovation would add at least $50,000 to the value, Stuart was saying. Your dad's savings could cover it. I froze in the hallway. He has that money just sitting there, Alma replied. It's wasteful. We should talk to him about investing in house improvements. Frame it like it benefits him too. What about the garage? We could convert it to a studio apartment, rent it out. Even better, another income stream. This property is wasted on someone who doesn't use it properly. I stood there, unseen, absorbing every mercenary word. They weren't just squeezing me out. They were planning to extract every dollar I had first. Every word validated my decision. I cleared my throat deliberately. Conversation stopped. Guilty silence. I walked into the kitchen, face carefully neutral. I'm back. Going to my room. Alma forced brightness into her voice. How was your walk, Dad? Enlightening. In my bedroom, door closed as required, I sat on the bed and pulled out David Olson's business card. His direct number was written on the back in his own handwriting. My hand stayed steady as I looked at it. The realtor's text came through at 9 in the morning. Buyers confirmed for 2 o'clock viewing. You're sure about the timing? I was sure. Stuart and Alma had left for Seattle the night before. Some weekend trip I'd suggested 2 weeks ago. You two work so hard, I'd said. Take a weekend away. My treat for part of the hotel. They'd accepted eagerly, never questioning my sudden generosity. Now the house was mine. Completely mine. For 36 hours. I walked through the empty rooms, opening curtains Stuart had ordered kept closed, turning on lights he claimed wasted electricity. In the living room, I moved his desk papers aside and displayed my original architectural sketches on the dining table. The house felt different without their presence. It breathed. My phone buzzed. Sarah Chen, the realtor. 30 minutes out. Family very interested based on photos. I texted back. I'm ready. The doorbell rang at 2 exactly. I opened it to find Sarah with a family of 4. Michael and Jennifer Chen. Warm handshakes. 2 teenagers trying to look unimpressed but failing. Mr. Cook, thank you for accommodating the showing, Sarah said. Shall we begin? I led them through, but Michael kept stopping, examining details most people missed. In the living room, he ran his hand along an exposed beam. This is custom work, not standard construction. I designed this house, I said, carefully allowing pride to show. I'm an architect, retired now. His eyes lit up. You designed this. I'm an engineer. This joinery, these load calculations, this is exceptional craftsmanship. We connected over technical aspects. I showed him the blueprints I'd spread out, and he leaned over them with an engineer's hungry eye, understanding what I'd built. Jennifer drifted to the kitchen, testing the flow of space, approving the natural light and garden view. The teenagers disappeared to check the basement and yard. The craftsmanship is remarkable, Michael said, tracing structural lines on the blueprint. You don't see this attention to detail anymore. I watched this family interact with my house, actually seeing it, appreciating it, and something tightened in my chest. After the tour, they huddled in the living room discussing quietly. Sarah pulled me aside to the kitchen. They love it, want to make an offer. I kept my voice neutral. What are they thinking? Full asking, 900,000. Quick close, 30 days if possible. My heart hammered, but my face stayed calm. The rent-back agreement? I explained it. 60 days post-closing. They're fine with it. They're renting now anyway, can wait. Michael approached before I could respond. Mr. Cook, this house is special. My wife and I have been looking for 8 months. This is the one. It's been my home for 30 years. We'll take care of it. His sincerity was unmistakable. I can see this was built with love. Jennifer joined us. The kids already picked their rooms. That never happens. We discussed the offer. 900,000, 30-day close, 60-day rent back, minimal contingencies. Everything aligned perfectly. Too perfectly to refuse. I need to think about this, I said. It's not an easy decision. Sarah, professionally tactful. Of course, though I should mention, in this market, properties like this don't last. The Chens can have their earnest money ready Monday. Mr. Cook, Michael said, I respect this is your home, but we'd be honored to be its next family. I paused, letting the moment stretch. Let me discuss with my attorney. I'll have an answer by Monday. They left, teenagers already planning their rooms. I closed the door, leaned against it, realized my hands were shaking. 2 hours later, my phone rang. Stuart. Hey, Ray, just checking in. Everything okay there? Fine. Quiet. Reading, mostly. Funny thing. His voice carried an edge. Mrs. Patterson next door texted Alma. Said she saw people at the house. A couple with kids? My stomach dropped, but my voice stayed steady. Oh, that. Old friend from my architecture firm. Wanted to show his family the house I designed. Gave them a tour. You didn't mention having visitors. Didn't think I needed to. They were there an hour. The house rules say 24-hour notice for guests, Ray. They're old colleagues. It was spontaneous. Pause. Rules are rules. We'll discuss this when we get back. Then, actually, Alma and I were talking. We should formalize things more. Get some paperwork done. Paperwork? Yeah, we've put a lot into that house. Improvements, maintenance. We should document our investment, protect our interests. I processed this carefully. Stuart was sensing something, trying to establish claim. That sounds reasonable. What kind of documentation? Receipts for the work we've done. Maybe talk to a lawyer about equity sharing or something, since we've been maintaining the place. I see. Well, if you want to consult a lawyer, that's your right. Good. We'll set something up next week. Just want everything fair and legal, you know? Absolutely. Fair and legal is important. All right, we're heading to dinner. Keep the doors locked. The call ended. I sat in silence, processing Stuart's move, trying to establish ownership claim before something happened. But it was too late. Papers were already in motion with Olson. I texted my attorney. They're suspicious. Son-in-law talking about establishing equity claim through improvements. Olson responded immediately. Let him try. Won't affect sale. You're sole owner per deed. Keep playing along. I texted back. Understood. I looked around the living room, my living room, and began counting days. The notary's office was cramped and utilitarian, nothing like David Olson's polished space. But the documents spread across the small desk were just as powerful. Escrow papers, title transfer, seller's disclosures, each one I signed moved the house another inch out of my name and into the Chens. The notary, Eleanor Walsh, stamped each page with practiced efficiency. Initial here, sign here, date here. My hand stayed steady despite the emotional weight. This house was my dream, my creation, but signing it away felt necessary, even right. That's everything. Mrs. Walsh collected the documents. Closing date is August 15th. You'll receive confirmation from escrow. And the rent-back agreement. Already filed. You have occupancy through October 15th. 60 days post-closing. I collected my copies. folder full of legal separation from my past. Outside, afternoon sunlight hit sharp after the dim office. Gloria sat on a bench, book in lap. She looked up and smiled. Real warmth, not the performance I'd lived with at home. She stood, and we embraced briefly. Natural affection. How did it go? It's done. Really done now. She took my arm. Come on. We have apartments to see. Forward, not back. In her car, she asked, You're sure about this? Selling the house? 30 years I put into that place, but the last 2 years erased what it meant. Sometimes we have to let go of what we built to build something new. I looked at her, this woman who appeared when I needed hope. Over the past 2 weeks, we'd walked Laurelhurst Park every morning, coffee at the cafe, by the pond, conversations about our lives, her divorce 10 years ago, my wife's death 3 years ago, shared loneliness transforming into companionship. Yesterday, we'd held hands for the first time. I couldn't do this without you. Yes, you could, but I'm glad you don't have to. We drove to Selwood, across the river from my current neighborhood. The district charmed immediately. Small shops, tree-lined streets, older homes converted to apartments. Tom, the rental agent, met us at the first property. Too small, too dark. The second apartment was better. 2 bedrooms, second floor, overlooking a garden. I walked through with my architect's eye, assessing everything. Kitchen adequate. Living room with good light. Bedrooms decent, Gloria noticed. You're redesigning it in your head already. I smiled slightly. Habit. But yes, I could make this work. $1,800 a month, Tom said. Available August 1st. Gloria, practical. What about furniture? You're leaving with just your personal items? I'll need to buy everything new, but that's actually appealing. Start clean. We viewed a third apartment, but the second one kept pulling me back. The Selwood place? Tom noted my interest. It's popular. If you want it, I need application today. I'll take it. What do you need from me? Application process moved quickly. References, deposit, first, last, and security, totaling $5,400. Credit check. I wrote the check from my savings. Not the house sale yet. August 1st. Gloria checked the date. That's soon. 9 days. Time to start packing. In her car outside the rental office, paperwork complete, I turned to her. Gloria, I need to tell you something. About the house sale? My daughter and son-in-law. They don't know I'm selling. Won't know until the eviction notice. She absorbed this. That's quite a surprise you're planning. I explained fuller context. The rent demand, the rules, feeling erased in my own home. She listened without judgment. Does that make me cruel? Not telling them? It makes you someone protecting yourself. They made their choices. This is yours. I keep thinking about Alma as a child. She wasn't always like this. People change. Sometimes the kindest thing is letting them face consequences. I looked at her directly. I'm falling for you. Is that wrong? In the middle of all this. Life doesn't pause for perfect timing. I'm falling too. We held hands across the console. What happens after August 15th? She asked. After they find out? I disappear into my new apartment. Start over. With you, if you'll be part of it. I'm already part of it. Ray returned home late afternoon. Stuart intercepted him immediately in the hallway. Where have you been? I needed to talk to you. Out. Errands. You need to start telling us where you go. We worry. I bit back my response. Nodded. Anyway, Alma and I made a decision. Starting this weekend, we need 24-hour notice before you use the kitchen on Saturdays and Sundays. We're meal prepping and need the space. The kitchen, in my own house. Our house, Ray. We all live here. Compromise is important. Alma appeared, stood beside Stuart. It's just weekends, Dad. Be reasonable. I looked at my daughter, saw slight uncertainty in her eyes, but she wouldn't contradict Stuart. Fine. Whatever you need. Good. Oh, and I set up a consultation with a property lawyer for Wednesday to discuss our equity position. I hope that works out for you. Stuart missed the irony completely. It will. We've got all our documentation. I walked to my room, closed the door, checked the calendar on my phone. August 15th circled in red. 18 days away. I counted down silently. August 15th arrived like a scheduled demolition. I sat in David Olson's conference room, watching him review the closing documents one final time before sliding them across the mahogany table. Outside the window, downtown Portland stretched toward the river. Inside this room, my house became someone else's property with each signature. "This is it, Ray." Olson tapped the settlement statement. "Once you sign, the house transfers to the Chens. 900,000 minus closing costs and commissions. You'll net approximately 847,000. I nodded, picked up the pen. The weight felt appropriate. Each signature carried 30 years of history. I'd designed every room of that house, chosen every fixture, built it with a young wife beside me planning our future. But the last 2 years had poisoned what took decades to create. I signed methodically. Seller's deed, settlement statement, transfer documents. The title company representative appeared on the video screen. All documents executed. Wiring instructions confirmed. Funds will transfer within the hour. "And the occupancy agreement?" Olson asked. "Filed and recorded. Mr. Cook has occupancy through October 15th, with early termination clause if he vacates sooner. I'll be out by the 25th. My voice stayed level. 10 days from now. Olson made a note. After the title rep disconnected, he leaned forward. "You're sure about the timeline? You want the eviction notice served the day after you leave?" "August 26th. Gives them exactly 30 days. September 25th. Move out date. Oregon law requires minimum 30 days for eviction without cause. This is by the book." He paused. "How will it happen?" "The Chen's attorney will send certified letter, legally served when received. Letter states property sold. New owners taking possession, current occupants must vacate by specified date. And if they refuse, then the Chen's file for eviction with the county. Sheriff serves papers. They'll leave." Olson studied my face. "Ray, are you ready for the fallout? Your daughter will be devastated." "My daughter devastated me for 2 years. She made her choices." He accepted this, handed me my copies of the closing documents. My phone buzzed. Bank notification. $847,000 deposited. Years of work, converted to numbers, now funding my escape. "It's done," I said. "You're free?" I returned home early afternoon. Stewart's door was closed. Video call in progress. Alma sat at the kitchen table with her laptop, barely glancing up. I moved through the house like a ghost, went to my small bedroom, and began systematic removal. I'd been doing this for days in small amounts they hadn't noticed. Today I accelerated. Clothes into suitcase, books into boxes. The framed photo of Sarah, the one they'd removed from the mantel, carefully wrapped. My architectural drafting tools from the closet, personal documents from the drawer. Each item was a memory, a piece of myself they'd tried to erase. I carried 2 boxes to my car. The trunk was already half full from previous trips. Returned for more. Alma glanced up as I passed through. "Moving stuff around, Dad?" "Just organizing, decluttering." "Good. Less clutter's better." She returned to her screen, dismissive. I made 3 more trips while Stewart remained occupied. By late afternoon, most of my essential belongings were packed. Stewart emerged from his office around 6, noticed my bedroom door open, saw the room looking sparse. "Ray, what's going on?" I kept my voice carefully neutral. "Organizing, getting rid of things I don't need." He walked into the room, scanned the empty shelves, the half-empty closet. "You're getting rid of a lot." "I'm 64, don't need much." His eyes narrowed. "You're not planning something, are you?" "Like what?" "I don't know. You've been weird lately. Distant. I'm following your rules. Staying out of the way. Isn't that what you wanted?" He couldn't articulate his concern, but something felt off to him. "Where do you go during the day? You're gone a lot." "Walks, library, coffee shops. I have my own life. Just seems suspicious." "You're the one who wanted me to pay rent and follow rules. I'm doing exactly that." He couldn't argue, but his unease remained. Later that evening, dinner time approached. I cooked in the kitchen before the 7 p.m. deadline. Alma came in, saw me preparing a simple meal for myself. "You've been so listless lately. Are you feeling okay?" "I'm fine. You just seem different, less there." I looked at my daughter, saw a stranger. "Maybe I'm just tired, Alma." "Well, try to perk up. Your mood affects the whole house. I'll work on that." She left, unsatisfied, but not enough to pursue it further. I finished cooking, ate alone in my room per the rules. Sat on the bed afterward, looked around at the nearly empty space. 10 more days. I pulled out my phone, texted Gloria. Closing complete. I'm officially free. 10 more days. She responded immediately. My door's open whenever you're ready. I'm proud of you. I allowed myself a small smile. Tomorrow I'd take more. Day by day, piece by piece, I was disappearing from this house. I looked at the calendar on my phone. August 25th circled in red, counting down. August 25th arrived with clear skies and cool morning air. I woke before dawn in my nearly empty bedroom, the sparse space echoing what I'd become in this house, a ghost who'd already left. Stuart and Alma slept soundly in the master bedroom, my former bedroom, unaware this was the last morning they'd wake believing the house was theirs. I dressed quietly in the dim pre-dawn light. My last boxes sat stacked by the door, car keys in my pocket. I pulled the envelope from my jacket, the note I'd written 3 days ago. Opened it, read one final time. Alma and Stuart, I fulfilled your requirement. You told me to pay rent or find another place. I found another place. Consider this my move-out notice. Think about your actions and how you treated me in my own home. Dad. Brief. No explanation of the sale. No emotion. Just facts. I folded the note back, wrote their names on the envelope's face. One final look around the room. This was Alma's childhood bedroom once, then my exile, now my past. I picked up the first box, carried it quietly to the front door. The house was silent except for Stuart's, snoring from the master bedroom. Made multiple trips, loading final boxes into my car trunk and back seat. My entire life now portable. I returned inside for a final sweep. Walked through the house in dim morning light. Living room. Stuart's desk dominated where my reading chair used to be. Kitchen, where they'd charged me rent to cook. Dining room, where Stuart had delivered his ultimatum. Master bedroom door, closed. Them sleeping in the room that was mine with Sarah. Each space held memories, some good from 30 years ago, recent ones poisoned. This was my dream house, my architectural achievement, but they'd made it a prison. I returned to the kitchen, placed the envelope prominently on the center of the table where they'd see it immediately. Next to it, I set my house keys. Front door, back door, garage. Keys I'd held for 30 years. Releasing them felt both heavy and light. 6:15. Plenty of time before they woke. I took one breath, opened the front door, stepped out, closed it quietly behind me. Didn't lock it, not my house anymore in my mind. Walked to my car, didn't look back. Started the engine, pulled out of the driveway. Watched the house recede in my rearview mirror as sunrise began. Drove toward Gloria's neighborhood. 8:30. Alma woke first, stretched, comfortable. Walked to the kitchen in pajamas to start coffee. Saw the envelope on the table. Odd placement. Picked it up, saw their names. Opened it, read the note once, twice. Didn't comprehend. "Stuart! Stuart!" Stuart stumbled out, groggy. "What? What's wrong?" She handed him the note, speechless. He read it, confused. "What does this mean? Find another place?" "I don't know. Is this a joke?" Stuart walked to Ray's bedroom. Door open, room empty. Empty closet, empty shelves. Nothing personal remained. His stuff. It's gone. All of it. Alma joined him, stared at the barren space. Where did it go? This doesn't make sense. When did he move it? He's been doing that organizing thing? That must have been... He was packing. Right under our noses. First reaction was offense. How dare he just leave without discussing it? This is so childish. Leaving a note like we're roommates, not family. Stuart's face hardened. Good riddance, honestly. Now we have the whole house. Alma trying to convince herself. Right. It's actually better. More space. We should celebrate. He finally did something right. Left on his own. Next morning, August 26th. Stuart retrieved the mail, bills, junk, and a large certified letter. Sender, Patterson and Associates, attorneys at law, on behalf of Chen family. What's this? He opened it, began reading, his face drained of color. What? What is it? Stuart's voice shook. Notice of eviction. No, this says the house was sold. Alma grabbed the letter, read aloud. Notification of property sale and termination of occupancy rights. The property located at this address was sold by the legal owner, Ray Cook, to Michael and Jennifer Chen on August 15th, 2025. As you are not legal tenants or owners, you are required to vacate the premises by September 25th, 2025. Failure to vacate will result in formal eviction proceedings. Stunned silence. This is impossible. He can't sell the house. It's in his name. He designed it. Legally, But we live here. We have rights. Do we? We never signed a lease. We just moved in. Stewart grabbed his phone, called the law firm number. Receptionist confirmed. Property sold. August 15th. All documentation legal and filed. He demanded to speak to an attorney. Put on hold. The attorney confirmed everything. Ray Cook, sole owner, sold property, legally. New owners taking possession. Current occupants must vacate in 30 days. We've invested in this house. Improvements, maintenance. Without ownership or lease agreement, you have no claim. I suggest you begin looking for new housing. Stewart ended the call, face white. This can't be happening. Stewart paced, disbelief turning to fury. He planned this. The whole time. When? How long? That's why he was weird. The organizing, the empty room. Alma's voice came small. He sold the house. His own house. Our house. We've been here 2 years. No. Alma looked at the letter in her hands. It was his house. We were guests. Guests who paid for renovations, who maintained everything. Stewart, we charged him rent. So, he should have contributed. We charged him rent, in his own house. That's not the point. That's exactly the point. That's why he did this. Alma tried calling Ray. Straight to voicemail. Tried again. Same result. He blocked us. I'm calling a lawyer. We'll fight this. Alma's voice was quiet. With what money? In 30 days. Stewart's fury met reality. They couldn't afford an attorney. Couldn't afford quick alternate housing. Had no legal standing. Alma sat at the kitchen table with the eviction notice. Stewart called property lawyers who all said the same thing. No case. Must vacate. She stared at Ray's note on the table. Think about your actions and how you treated me in my own home. She finally understood what they'd done. 3 days after finding the eviction notice, Stewart was still calling every property attorney in Portland. I knew this because Gloria showed me the voicemails he'd left on my old phone, the one I'd stopped using the day I left. His voice progressed from angry demands for explanation to bargaining offers of negotiation to barely concealed panic. I sat in Gloria's living room, afternoon light streaming through windows, my old phone buzzing on the coffee table. Again. Gloria glanced up from her book. How many times is that? 17 since yesterday. 14 from Stewart, 3 from Alma. Are you going to answer? Eventually, let them sit with it first. The phone buzzed again. 18th call. Stewart. I picked it up this time, took a breath, answered. Yes, Stewart? Explosion of sound. His voice high, panicked, furious. What did you do? You sold the house? How could you? My voice stayed neutral. I exercised my legal right as the property owner. You can't just sell someone's home. It was my home, Stewart. Mine. You were guests who overstayed your welcome. We have rights. We've been there 2 years. We've invested money. You have no rights. No lease. No ownership. No claim. I checked with my attorney. Your attorney? His voice cracked. You planned this. When? How long? Does it matter? It's done. The house sold August 15th. You received proper legal notice. Rage and desperation mixed in his tone. We'll sue. We'll prove you're not mentally competent. You're old. You don't understand what you did. Ice entered my voice. I passed a cognitive assessment administered by a licensed physician. My attorney required it. I have documentation of complete mental competency. You have nothing. This is insane. You can't do this to your own daughter. My daughter did this to herself. You both did. You charged me rent in my own house, Stewart. You made rules about when I could cook, when I could use rooms I designed. You treated me like an inconvenience you could extract money from. That was just... We needed help with expenses. You needed to control me? Now you have 30 days. Use them wisely. His voice broke. Ray, please. We have nowhere to go. No money for deposits. You're destroying us. No, Stewart. I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. He screamed something incoherent. The line went dead. I set the phone down. Gloria came over, sat beside me, took my hand. 30 minutes passed. The phone rang again. Alma. I considered not answering, but this was my daughter. Alma, crying. Daddy, please. This has to be a mistake, a misunderstanding. My heart clenched at Daddy. She hadn't called me that in years. It's not a mistake. I sold the house, legally and deliberately. But why? Why didn't you tell us? We could have talked about it. When, Alma? Between Stuart demanding rent, or you telling me to declutter so the house looked better? When would we have talked? We didn't mean... Yes, you did. You meant every rule, every demand, every dismissive comment. Dad, I'm sorry. We're sorry. We'll change. Just cancel the sale. You can cancel it, right? The sale closed 10 days ago. The money's in my account. It's over. Desperation rose in her voice. Where will we go? We don't have money for first and last and deposit on a new place. Rentals in Portland are so expensive. You have a month to figure it out. That's more time than you would have given me if I couldn't pay your rent. That's different. You're our father. Exactly. I'm your father. And you treated me like an ATM machine and an unwanted tenant in my own home. Sobbing now. Please, Daddy, please, we'll do anything. My voice came tired. There's nothing to do, Alma. Learn from this. Treat people with respect, especially people who love you. I ended the call, set the phone down. Gloria squeezed my hand. That was harder than I expected. Because you still love her. Yes, but I can't save her from herself. Over the following days, I learned through mutual acquaintances about their desperate search. 5 different attorneys, same answer from each. No case, sale was legal, must vacate or face sheriff. Stuart tried claiming verbal lease agreement. Attorney told him verbal agreements meant nothing without proof and didn't apply to family arrangements anyway. They searched rental listings. 3-bedroom houses in decent areas, $3,500 to $4,000 monthly. 2-bedroom apartments in good areas, $2,800 to $3,200. 1-bedroom apartments in their preferred neighborhoods, $2,000 to $2,400, but too small for their belongings. Reality crashed down. They needed to downsize drastically. Stuart blamed Alma. Your father did this because you didn't stand up to him about the rules. Alma blamed Stuart. You were the one who demanded rent. I told you it might backfire. Their relationship fractured under stress. Arguments escalated. Stuart stopped looking for jobs, depressed and angry. Alma cried constantly, lost and overwhelmed. Several days after the phone calls, Gloria asked, Do you regret it, selling the house? I thought carefully. I regret that it came to this. But no, I don't regret protecting myself. What if Alma reaches out again, really changes? If she genuinely changes, learns respect, rebuilds herself, maybe someday we can have a relationship, but she needs to do that work. I can't do it for her. I looked around Gloria's cozy living room. Plants, books, music, warmth. I spent 2 years shrinking myself to fit their vision of what I should be. Now I'm expanding again. You're different than when we met at the library. Lighter. I was carrying their contempt. Now I'm only carrying my own life. We kissed briefly, comfortable and real. The phone rang. Unfamiliar number. I checked it, didn't recognize it, let it go to voicemail. Think it's them? Probably, using someone else's phone. I turned the phone completely off, set it aside. I'm not answering. We began cooking dinner together. Laughter from the kitchen. My old life fading. New one taking root. The last week of August felt surreal in its ordinariness. I'd moved into my Selwood apartment August 1st, and by month's end, Gloria and I had established routines. Morning coffee on the balcony, evening walks by the river, her teaching me basic piano. Meanwhile, across town, Stuart and Alma were packing their lives into boxes, confronting the reality of a cheaper apartment in a neighborhood they'd once avoided. I didn't visit the house, didn't drive by. That chapter was closed. My apartment suited me. Modest 2-bedroom, mine, and a small office where I'd started taking freelance architectural consultations. Work I loved, returning naturally. The space was honest. Clean lines, chosen furniture, my original sketches framed on walls. Gloria helped me arrange books on new shelves, music playing softly. I assembled the last bookcase, working with tools that felt right in my hands again. This place suits you, she said. It's honest. No rules about when I can cook. No quiet hours, just mine. Hours, maybe. I'm here often enough. I smiled. Hours, then. My phone rang. Unfamiliar number again. They're still trying. Different phones each time. You don't have to answer. I know, and I won't. Across town, Alma sat surrounded by boxes. Stuart cursed in another room about furniture that wouldn't fit their new apartment. She held a photo she'd found while packing. Her as a child, with me, my young face proud and loving. She'd been crying for days, truly seeing what they'd done. The memories played through her mind. Me bringing expensive groceries, her criticizing the butter brand, me following absurd kitchen rules, eating alone in my room, charging me rent, her father for living in my own house. That morning, finding my note, dismissing it as childish. Stuart had manipulated her, yes, but she'd let him, made choices, participated, watched me shrink. Stuart yelled from the other room, "Alma, these boxes aren't going to pack themselves." She made a decision. She needed to see me, apologize face to face, not for forgiveness, because it was right. She texted a mutual friend, "I need Dad's address, please. I know I don't deserve it, but I need to see him." An hour later, address in Selwood, with a warning, "He seems happy, Alma. Don't ruin that for him." I just need to apologize, really apologize. Next day, late afternoon. My doorbell rang. Gloria and I were having tea. Peaceful moment interrupted. I checked the door camera. New habit. Alma stood there, looking diminished. My chest tightened. "It's Alma." "Do you want me to stay or go?" "Stay, please." I opened the door. Alma looked older somehow, eyes red, humbled. "Dad, can we talk?" After a pause, "Come in." She entered, saw Gloria, recognized she was important to me. "I'm sorry, I didn't know you had company." "This is Gloria. Gloria, my daughter Alma." Gloria offered her hand. Alma shook it, saw kindness in Gloria's eyes, the kindness they'd denied me. We sat in the living room. Awkward silence. Alma struggled to start. "Dad, the apartment looks nice." "Thank you." Tears starting. "I came to apologize, really apologize, not to ask for anything, just to say I'm sorry." I listened, face neutral but not cold. "I've been thinking about everything we did, how we treated you, the rent, the rules, taking over your house like it was ours, making you feel unwelcome in your own home." I stayed silent, letting her speak. I was so caught up in Stuart's anger about his job, his need to control something, and I let him. I participated. I watched you become smaller and smaller, and I told myself you were just being difficult. She cried fully now. "You're my father. You raised me alone after Mom died. You gave me everything, and I repaid you by treating you like you were in the way." My voice came quiet. "Yes, you did. I know sorry isn't enough. I know I destroyed something between us. But I need you to know I see it now. I see what we did." I took a breath, Gloria's presence steadying me. "Alma, I love you. You're my daughter, and that doesn't change. But love doesn't mean accepting mistreatment." She nodded, wiping tears. "For 2 years, you and Stuart erased me from my own life. You removed my photos, my chair, my space. You charged me rent like I was a burden. You made rules about when I could cook in the kitchen I designed. I know. What hurt most wasn't the rent. It was the contempt. The way you looked through me, not at me. Like I was furniture that didn't fit your aesthetic. I'm so sorry, Dad. I needed to protect myself, to remember I had value. That's why I sold the house." She looked at me, really looked. "You look happy. Happier than I've seen you in years." I glanced at Gloria. "I'm happy. I'm building a life that respects who I am. I don't deserve forgiveness, but maybe someday, if I do the work, change how I treat people, maybe we could. Maybe, someday, if you truly change. Learn to respect others, especially people who love you. Build a life that doesn't require diminishing someone else. Stuart and I, we're not doing well, moving to a tiny apartment, fighting constantly. I think we might separate. That's between you and Stuart. But Alma, don't build a relationship on controlling someone else. That's not love." She stood to leave. "Thank you for seeing me, for listening." I walked her to the door. At the threshold, "I love you, Dad. I love you too, but I need distance right now. Focus on yourself. Become someone you respect." She left, broken but perhaps beginning to heal. 1 week later, September 25th arrived. The Chen family moved into the house. I didn't drive by, didn't watch, but I knew. I imagined Michael and Jennifer excited, teenagers choosing rooms, a family appreciating the architecture I'd designed. That evening, on my balcony with Gloria, sunset coloring the sky. Today was the day. The Chens moved in. How do you feel? Sad for what that house was, relieved for what it stopped being, hopeful for what it'll become again. And us? How do you feel about us? Like I'm finally living instead of existing? We sat in comfortable silence. A week later, early September, music store downtown. I surprised Gloria. You mentioned your old piano was sold in the divorce. Time you had one again. She protested. Too expensive. I sold a house, remember? I can afford this. The salesman helped us choose. Upright piano. Beautiful tone. Gloria played a few notes. Her face lit up. I watched her. This is what money should do. Create joy, not control people. We arranged delivery to her house. Walked out holding hands. I'd lost a house and a functional relationship with my daughter. But I'd gained myself back and found someone who saw me as I am, not as a resource to exploit. Gloria's laugh, my smile, sunset light, piano music imagined in the future, life continuing forward. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.